Okay, so we are going to graph the system of inequalities. Y is greater than x plus 2, and y is less than or equal to 10 minus 3/4 x. First thing that I'm going to do is I am going to graph y is greater than x plus 2. My y-intercept is 2, so I'm going to put a point at positive 2. My slope is 1, because I just have x, so that means it's a 1x. So I'm going to go up 1 over 1. Draw in as many points as you need to. You can go to the left, down 1, 1 to the left. Now, to decide whether my line should be solid or dotted, I'm going to look at the symbol. Since my symbol is just greater than, that means that I'm going to have a dashed or dotted line. Remember, if you draw your line and then all of a sudden you're like, oh shoot, I forgot it was supposed to be dashed and I made it solid. What can you do to let me know that you... Yep, so you can just write the word dashed on there if you forgot to make it dashed. Okay, now I need to figure out which side of the line would have shading for this. So can I use 0, 0 as a test point? Yes, as long as your line doesn't go through 0, 0, it's going to be the easiest one to test. So if I plug 0, 0 into my original inequality, I would get 0 is greater than 0 plus 2. Is that true? No, 0 is not greater than 2. That means that 0, 0 is not a solution. So since 0, 0 is below the line, all of my solutions would be above. So I would shade above the line. Now we've got a couple things to think about here. Since this is a system and I'm going to be doing where the shading overlaps as my final solution region, you can either shade it in right now and then shade in the other one and then like highlight where they overlap. Or one thing that I like to do is instead of doing a whole lot of shading and erasing or reshading, I like to draw arrows above my line showing where the shading would be. So that's what I'm going to do. And I really only do this when I'm graphing a system of inequalities, not a single inequality. So you can shade or you can draw arrows showing where the shading would be. Okay, so that's my first inequality. Now my second inequality, I'm going to graph y is less than or equal to 10 minus 3/4 x. So that's my next step. I'm going to graph y is less than or equal to 10 minus 3/4 x. My y-intercept is 10. So I'm going to start by putting my point at 10 on the y-axis. My slope is negative 3/4. So that means from 10, I'm going to go down 3, 4 to the right. And then down 3, 4 to the right. Now, would my line be solid or dotted for this one? Solid, because it has less than or equal to. So I am going to draw in a solid line. Going to look like that. Now I need to figure out which side of the line, of my green line, that should be shaded. So again, I'm going to do a test point. Can I use 0, 0 as my test point?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so I am going to test 0, 0. And when I do that, I have 0 is less than or equal to 10 minus 0. Is that true? Yes, that is true. So that means that I would shade towards 0. And shading towards 0 in this case is below the line. But again, you can just draw arrows if you don't want to do a whole bunch of shading and erasing. So my arrows are going to show me that the shading for this line would be down here. Now, your final solution region is where the arrows point at each other, because that is where the shading would overlap. So your solution region is where the shaded areas overlap. And if you choose to do it by drawing arrows, it's where the arrows point at each other. So for this graph, the arrows point to each other up here. So I'm just going to shade in that. And then you are done.
Can I move back there?
Hold on.